Coming up on the Branding Deep Dive podcast.
I feel like there's two things here is like, how do you keep somebody watching an ad for 5 minutes? That's the first big thing here. Like, it's an ad. Let's think about that for a second, right? Like, we skip those. But this is something we're like going like, at least I went out of my way to watch. And it was a 6 minute, like, I didn't even realize. I was like, holy crap, this is really long.
Yeah.
This is Ahmed Cheema, and welcome to the Branding Deep Dive podcast. If you're new here, this is a podcast where we have in-depth discussions on what brands are doing well to drive customer loyalty and how you can take those principles and apply them in your own brand. On today's episode, we are talking to Ahmed Nadeem, who is a repeat guest, about the Audi RS6 Avant. Now, if you've been following the podcast from the beginning, you know that we have a sweet spot for car brand revivals. Now, technically speaking, the Audi RS6 Avant is not a revival. It actually never was produced in North America. For the first time ever in its existence, Audi brought this car to North America last year. How they did that and how they used story to do that is what we're going to be exploring today. Now, here's Ahmed Nadeem. Ahmed Nadeem, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing? It's good to be back.
Good. Yeah, it's really nice having you back, man. I think you're one of our first repeat guests. We also had Yasser as a repeat guest. So
nice.
I think we're getting to that stage in the podcast, and it's exciting for us.
It's a good stage.
Yeah, and we appreciate you coming back on. You know what I mean? Like, I think one of the signs of knowing you're not doing a terrible job is if you ask people to come back and they say yes. So for all you podcasters out there, if people are hesitant or don't want to come back, then you should check yourself and see what you're doing wrong. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Ahmed Nadeem, what we're talking about today is the Audi RS6 Avant. And the reason we're doing that is this is a car, to give the audience a little bit more context before we even get into it, is when initially I asked Ahmed Nadeem to come on the podcast and talk about the Hummer, he actually showed me the ad for the Audi RS6 Avant. And he's like, check this ad out. And I was like, man, this is a really cool ad. And we'll get into the ad in the future, but the reason why he brought it up is that he said that this is the car. If he had one car, if he had unlimited money, he just had one car that he was allowed to have, he would have this car. And so, Ahmed, let's talk a little bit about why this car is that car, where if you had unlimited money, but you only had one car that you could have, this is it. Let's talk about that a little bit. What makes this car so special to you?
Man, to start off with, I am obsessed with sleepers, right? Like sleeper cars. And for those of you who don't know what a sleeper car is, it's a car that looks like a normal everyday car, but it's insane under the hood, right? Not just little power. I mean, like, insane, right? So that being said,
what kind of cars fall into that category? Give us some examples. I feel like the Honda Type R falls into that. That's my favorite car.
Yeah, but see, even today's Type R, 100%. The Type R is a great car. But even today's, like, when you see a Type R, you see a distinct difference between that and a Civic.
That's true.
Right? Like, it's no longer sleeper. Like, this car's no longer a sleeper. Let's be honest. Like, you look at this thing, you think of Rottweilers and demons or something. Anywho, so yeah, and it's a family-friendly car, guys. It's like, I understand it has 600 horsepower, but you could, like, you've got, 3 seats in the back. You could probably, it's car seat compatible, guys. You know what I mean? It's like, it's things that should not be said together, but you put everything in that sentence, and that's this car, right?
Yeah,
like,
even as you were saying that.
SUV level. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, even as you were saying that, I'm thinking, like, how can you have 600 horsepower and family friendly in the same sentence? Like, how does that work?
Just for context, like BMW 3 Series, pretty sporty car that most people have. It's around 200, 300 horsepower, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this thing, 600, almost double. that of a regular 3
Yes.
Series that you might see on the road. And what makes it family friendly?
It's a full size. It's a full size state. Like it's like a station wagon. Like you have SUV size,
Capacity.
truck space, car space. On top of that, it's all wheel drive. You can ride in the snow. Does not like all weather, all time car.
Word station wagon sounds family friendly.
And, yeah, there you go. And if somebody pulls up, you smoke them. Nobody pulls up. This is not Fast and the Furious, but
yeah,
it's the car.
So again, so I'm understanding, you're saying this is a sleeper, and by sleeper you mean it's like it looks like it's just an average car, but if someone were to pull up, you would leave them in the dust.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's 0 to 62. It's like 3.6 seconds or something. I understand I understand again with car seats in the back. You know what I mean? And I understand like numbers like 3.6 and whatever don't mean much with Teslas, and by the way, this also has like I believe it has an assisted electric motor, which is like 46 horsepower or something, or kilowatt, something like that. But that assists in the 590 horsepower this thing actually puts out, or something like that.
That's crazy. One thing that I'm curious about is I'm not really a car guy. I don't know much about cars. If I know Audi has a couple different lines of cars, right? So the basic ones, like the A6, A8, whatever, it's the A line, right? And then recently I've also seen an S line, like S4, S5. And so this is an RS6, and then there's an added thing of the Avant, right? I don't know what that means either, but if you could just walk us through what the difference is between these lines. Because I mean, briefly glancing at the website, I know they're thousands of dollars apart in price, but I don't know what the actual mechanical differences are between the lines.
So I want to go there. I just want to touch on that other sleeper topic, because there's something that I wanted to bring up there, and then just bring me back to this point though, because that's a very good point. So the sleeper thing all starts with the RS2, where this car actually started. So back in the day when Audi used to put ridiculous stuff inside like their cars, their badging was very minimal. Right? Like you saw the same car, but you saw it just had RS6 in the front that you could miss very easily. And you could literally take the badge off, but you still had this monster of a car.
They're like sleeper by design.
Sleeper by design. You don't have to do anything. Right?
And it's like if you know, you know type of thing.
Exactly. If you know, you know. Exactly. Because the rest of the car from the outside looked exactly the same. But if you checked under the hood, it had bigger engine, better brakes, like an exhaust system. Like it was insane. But no, like you could, the second you turn it on, you're like, okay, that's not a regular Audi. Right. But when you're looking at it.
So so I think that's a good transition to back to what point we were at. So the RS back then, 1980 RS2, if it didn't have the RS badge, people would think it was an A or an S. So what is the difference between these?
So here, I actually want to show a picture of the RS2 just to.
Hey, while we're pulling this up, I just want to make a quick point. Like, Ahmed Nadeem, man, you look like first off, you look like a podcaster. Second off, you sound like a podcaster. So really, I think it's a good time to give your podcast a plug too. If you want to go ahead and tell the audience your podcast name and where they can find you.
Podcast Kings, and it's on Spotify and Apple Podcast at the moment. And then we're also doing YouTube clips. Thank you.
Nice.
Check him out. He's legit. He's not playing around.
Thank you, Cheema. And so is Cheema.
All right, let's get back to the.
Let's get back to it. So, do you guys see the picture of the RS2?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So, do you see this little badge in the front?
Barely. Yeah.
Yes. That's all there was to it.
No way.
Right. So if somebody pulls up in this, I mean, this is 94, right? This is in the 90s. Car came out in 94. So there's no way you're suspecting anybody to pull up with anything or have anything under the hood on Dadmobile, right?
This is the definition of Dadmobile.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? But then, bam, this is the new definition. Is it? No, but it's insane.
It's definitely got Lamborghini vibes.
Yeah, on a station wagon. Yes. All right, so back to the differences. So it pretty much, there's the Audi RS6, then there's the Audi RS6. So in the Avant version, there's only one, right? And it's the Audi R6 Avant. I believe there's no other Avants that are non-RS6 at the moment. This is the only one they've made. Other than that, there's the RS7 and RS6, which front end I believe looks almost identical to the RS6 Avant. But the backs on all three of them are different. Right, but I believe they share the engine and stuff. And I want to say this year they came out with the RS6 Tribute car, which is the exact same blue as the RS2. And limited quantities, and they sell out. People are going to collect them, and then they're going to go up, banking on the heritage. Exactly. Okay. It's the big Walt Disney. You guys know about the cellar or the vault, the Walt Disney vault, where movies go in, but like maybe they'll come out in 50 years or they'll come out in 100 years, and they like rotate them through.
No way.
Yeah. So like when certain movies, Disney movies, will go into the vault, they won't be shown again by Disney for X amount of years. Yeah. Just so when it comes back,
they're always able to keep that nostalgia factor present.
Is that what they did with Lion King? Is that what you're saying? Or is Lion King not?
I don't know. I'm not a Disney expert. I just know about the vault, and like I just thought it was a very neat idea that
that's a really cool idea, really cool concept. And I think for the listeners too, is if you have a product that really catches fire, I think similar to like look at what Ford is doing with the Bronco, Hummer, and even like the RS6 here, it's like it might help to kind of deprive your audience for a little bit and just hold it. And then after a certain amount of time, let it marinate and then bring it back and give them that nostalgia factor. I think nostalgia really sells, right? It's across the board with people. If you can take people back to memories they had when they were younger, when times were different, that's something that, it's really, when we talk about selling a product nowadays, what does brand mean? If your brand can evoke emotion, and nostalgia is a powerful emotion, if you can do that, you have a winning formula.
So one of the things that you said, Cheema, that this car was brought to your attention was the video, the advertisement that they had. Now in the advertisement, they have like this kid that grows up, like he's telling his story of the RS6 Avant. What about the RS6 Avant was so like emotionally attractive, like back then? Like, is it the fact that it's a family sport? Is it the fact that it's a sport? Is it just like a cultural phenomenon?
Yeah, it's one of those cars that have become classics, right? And I think recently the Doug DeMiro, the YouTube guy, bought one. He did a video on the whole thing. Also, that's because they lifted I'm assuming how he got it, they lifted the 25-year, like not lifted it. It's the car falls outside of the 25-year rule now, so you can import them now. So that's probably another reason that you're seeing more and more. And the fact that the new one's coming is just,
Wait, hold up. Doug got the original?
I believe he got the RS2, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. So I saw him doing a video reviewing the new Avant, and what he said in that video, which was pretty crazy, because this is a car that I hadn't heard of till you brought it up. He said that the Avant was the car that was most requested to be reviewed outside of the Bronco. And that just shows you, for car enthusiasts, this is a really big deal.
Yeah.
I think,
It's the first time it's coming to the US, period.
Oh, so the 2 wasn't here. People
2 wasn't
imported it.
here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why you had to wait 25 years if you wanted to import it in.
That is definitely exciting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't. So, like, you had
Bringing
to.
a product to a new market entirely, but it has the nostalgia. That's insane.
Yeah, because people have been asking apparently for that long
Huh.
to bring it to the US, but then they just stopped making it. So not only did they start making it, they are also bringing it to the US.
That's
But
crazy.
you got to know, it's a very exclusive car, right? Like they're gonna be limited runs, and it's not like anybody can buy. It's like 100K plus. Like what is it at? Like
109 right now, according to the website.
base. Yes, that's the
Yeah,
base
base.
model.
Yeah.
So I mean,
It's more than a year's salary for most people.
yeah, definitely. But I mean, it's again, that's why it's the car.
I think that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to explore real quick the concept of a wagon. In my research, what I was looking at, it seems that these requests were happening, but the reason why Audi wasn't bringing it over was because they just said they didn't think there was a market for it, right? And so this America versus Europe, where they actually do have wagons and wagons are pretty popular. What does a wagon like represent? What is a wagon for the audience that may not be familiar with what we're talking about? And like, why is it that you know if there isn't a market for it, why is it now that, hey, I mean, I understand the nostalgia factor now, but what? Let's just talk a little bit about the wagon itself and what it represents, what it means.
Mhm. So honestly, I just believe that it's a family friendly car. Is that word again, right? Like it's a so and I could see the reason why US was an issue because we're all about our SUVs here,
Mhm.
right? In overseas, this is like an SUV, right? But it's a car. You
Yeah.
get the same amount of space on the inside, but it's a car, so you're not using the same amount of gas, and it's still friendly. I believe the first one, the RS2, had a 5-cylinder engine. By the way, the RS2, um, yeah, the suspensions and brakes were done by Porsche on the first RS2.
No.
Yeah, on that blue station wagon with that one little badge, was that's why it was special, right? Like it wasn't your average Joe's car. Like you have Porsche suspension and braking systems with a really fast engine,
Yeah.
and full.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting you say that they didn't think there was a market for it, because I know that in like Europe, cars are generally like streets are smaller and cars are smaller. So your average American like crossover or SUV looks like a tank on European streets. So I
Mhm.
feel like there was a market there for the station wagon, which, like you said, apparently has the capacity of like an SUV, but not the size of it. Um,
Yeah.
so it's interesting to see that they brought it over here, despite having a different type of, I don't know, like automobile infrastructure in the States.
Yeah. And a lot of these, I mean, Audi is known as like the all road around the world. It's the all
Mhm,
road car with their quattro system,
mhm.
right? So a lot of places you'll see, like where it snows a lot and stuff, they'll actually have cars like this.
Yeah.
So Audi, I didn't know that. Is that a thing? Like they it's like all terrain type thing.
Yeah, it's like the Subaru also does we have a special all-wheel drive system. So Audi has the really famous all-wheel drive system. It's the quattro that you'll see
Mhm.
on top of Audis. Yeah.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Another thing I want to touch on for the audience is that, like, looking at this original RS2, it's just this little badge. And then even this car that's coming out, it's like one of those things, if you know, you know. And the important thing that I want to highlight here is that if you can create an experience like that for your customers where, it's outside of your mass customers, there's like a special group within that have a certain signal, or like there's a certain product that there's like something special about it, but you don't like market it super crazily. You just, if you know, you know what I mean? It makes people feel like they're part of a special group.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I think that is powerful, right? When an RS2 owner meets another RS2 owner, that's going to be, you know, I'm sure they have like little groups and meetups and stuff like that for this kind of car. And that's really what those people are, what we call sneezers, right? They're going to tell people about this product. They're going to tell others, they're going to tell their friends, their mom, dad, that this is the car I got, this is what it does. And those are the people you want to be designing for. And those are the people you want to be really making sure that they have a good experience.
You just that nostalgia connection is so strong, right? Like, it's especially if you owned it, right? Like, if you owned an RS2 and you can afford the new one, there's no chance you're not going to buy it, right?
I wonder how many
think about
people
that.
owned it.
Yeah, I no idea, right? But like, if you can afford it today, you're going to be like, hands down, purchase.
Yeah.
Right. Just because you already had that connection, it's coming back after like 20 some years. It's, it's going to be exclusive, and the car, I feel like, keep it, the car's value is going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
Then, why not?
We'll be right back with more from Ahmed Nadeem. Hey everyone, Ahmed Cheema here. I wanted to share with you another project that I'm working on called the Weekly Rundown. It's a Sunday morning email newsletter covering the week's business and political news and why all that stuff matters to you. It's a quick read, it'll take you 5 minutes, and we also record an audio version if you prefer that. This past week, we covered the crazy weather down in Texas, the space race to Mars, and the gender wage gap in the gig economy. I'm really, really excited about this, and I hope everyone subscribes. Go to theweeklyrundown.substack.com to check out our latest issue and subscribe. That's theweeklyrundown.substack.com. I will put the link in the show notes, so check it out. Thank you for your continued support. And now, back to our discussion with Ahmed Nadeem.
Let's come back to the ad. I really wanted to talk about this because we compared a few different ads. When we looked at the Hummer ad, I think we unanimously, all three of us, were like, that's a bad ad, right? Then when we saw the Bronco ad, I think me and Abdul Mannan, at least, we were like, that is incredible advertising. And now with the Audi RS6, I think me and Abdul Mannan are on different sides of the spectrum. I think Abdul Mannan thinks it's okay. And then I think it's actually a really good ad. So let's talk a little bit about this. Ahmed Nadeem, in your opinion, like, what are they doing well here in this ad? What works for them? Because I know, hold on, before we get into that, what's your take on the ad? Do you think it's a good ad, bad ad?
I thought the ad did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Okay, that's perfect.
Actually, which is what? Clarify.
Which is, even if you didn't have a connection, you felt the connection.
Okay.
Right? That's what they want, right? Like, that's the end goal.
Yeah.
You just gotta tug at the heartstrings. Some of them, like, doesn't matter, right?
So that's super important. I didn't even think of that. So in that 5-minute clip, they gave you essentially a lot of the context you need. So if you're someone like me who wasn't around for the RS2 or is not familiar with this stuff, now I know that there's some history here, and there's some form of, like, there's something special about it. You know what I mean? Like, I think I agree. I think they did a good job explaining that in story form. So Abdul Mannan, you're on the other side of the spectrum. Talk us through your opinion.
So one of the things, the goal of the advertisement was to, tell the story of the RS6 Avant. And like you said, there's some people that obviously don't know about the story, including myself. So my take was that, like, I didn't feel like I understood the story. It was almost like I was being told a story, but not like understanding the story. If that makes any sense. There's a difference between kind of just being told a story to you and then you, like, feel like you're the main character in the story. I think there was a little bit of a discrepancy there for me. But like you said, it did, like, me being someone who was not, like, aware about this, I definitely became aware about it, and it kind of grew on me. I'm not gonna lie, Cheema. It was our first conversation till now. I watched it 2 times. And the second time I watched it, I was like more open-minded, I guess, where I was just like, let me see what it's actually telling me. I'm not gonna lie, the 5-minute commercial thing, I was a little bit like, I was like, at first I was like, man, this is really long. I can't be sitting through here with the same, you know. But yeah, that was the main thing. I didn't feel like the main character. I definitely saw the story. That's why I kind of put it in between the Ford Bronco commercial and the Hummer commercial, for example. I was given a story, but I didn't feel like the main character. Partly probably because I didn't relate to the car because I didn't know about the car, but at the same time, I didn't know about the Ford Bronco, right? I don't know. What do you think it is, Cheema? What makes the Ford Bronco commercial so good? Or like,
I think this is an interesting discussion point, and Ahmed, I want to get your thoughts on this because really, there's no formula for how to tell a story. Right. And like, sure, there's like, 3-act structure, you got the hero's journey, you got all this stuff, but like, how do you actually practically apply that for your brand or for this product that you're actually coming out with? And I think like there's really no set formula. And if someone does it, you can't just copy it. You know what I mean? Like, you got to actually come up with something new, something unique, something that someone's not seen before, or else it's gonna fall flat. So Ahmed, what are your thoughts on what makes a good story, and what have they done here, since you do think this serves the actual purpose? What do you think they're doing well here?
So I feel like this was like a response to the way BMW did ads for the longest time, right? So the way BMW did ads was they would make a small commercial that you thought you were watching a little scene in a movie, and it would be like a car chase, and they would get a big actor and they would play out a whole little movie scene where he's driving the 7 Series and he's crashing through, and it would be like a 5-minute video where you literally thought you were watching an action movie, but it was all based around the cars. Bad guys were driving older BMWs, like it was all BMW show, right? But then you see Clive Owen, nice suit, comes in, another big actor comes in, and then there's some chase happening. Again, at the end of the day, you were like, oh snap, like this is it got the point out, right? Like this was a luxury sedan, but it can like go, right? Again, 400 or 500 horsepower, whatever you put under those engines. So, but those were like those 5-6 minute videos where you were hooked, right? I feel like there's two things here. Is like, how do you keep somebody watching an ad for 5 minutes? That's the first big like thing here. Like, it's an ad. Let's think about that for a second, right? Like, we skip those. But this is something we're like going like, at least I went out of my way to watch. And it was a 6-minute, like I didn't even realize. I was like, holy crap, this is really long.
Yeah. I like the music. I don't know. I was telling Cheema, I was like, man, that song is just stuck in my head.
Yep.
The beat, the song.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then it speeds up as the story is going.
Yeah.
And everything, the slowdowns, the cutscenes, when the old car goes, the new car comes in, and then like the way they even sectioned the story of like, I mean, they also like, like from what I got, like make you realize like how much time you spend in your car. And this is also like not those guys who are like leasing a new car every year. Like this is like those type of people that are gonna like, pass down their car to the kid.
So that's what I think that commercial did really well. And that's what made me realize, like, I wasn't paying attention to the story. Maybe that's part of it, but like the sell on this car, like you said, it's a family oriented sports car, right? Now, there's a phase in your life where you're like all about sports cars, and there's a phase in your life where you're all about family. And so they sell that story really well, where they talk about this kid who is introduced to the car as a family car. Then he goes into his teenage years, and he's introduced to the car as a sports car, and he realizes he has his car in his driveway and that he gets to take it out, And then he meets this girl in the red version of the car, and it starts the family again. And so I feel like it's a very cohesive ad. Like, it's very clear what they're telling you, that look, this thing is not something like, there's like, if the one-way direction of buying cars is moving towards leasing or public transportation, going the other way is to have a car from beginning to end. And that's what Audi's like kind of selling us on, which is that family timeline of every boy, at least, their interests.
There's a point I want to make here, and that is understanding your target audience, right? So they're not going for people that are going for that lease, right? Like, you're not going to make a 5-minute ad with this message for those people. They're not going to buy $100,000 car in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, they probably don't care. The second thing is, like you said, is that they understood that there's two things, right? Family and speed. That's what this car has. And like, I think you hit the nail on the head, is like, what do you walk away with at the end of this ad? You walk away with two things: it's family and fast. You know what I mean? Like,
And if you want both, this is it.
And I think what's really powerful about this story is that you may not think it's a good ad. You may not think it's a good, like, I mean, it is kind of cheesy when you watch it a couple times. It's like, all right, like, you know, whatever. Yeah. But what they did, I think the main thing you have to understand is, if you are creating a story for your brand, it's not so much about the story you tell, but the story that the customer tells other customers. Right. And when people see this ad, every single review video I've seen has said the same thing within the first minute. And that's, this car is the best everyday driver that you can get. Yeah. How did they get that point incepted in every single YouTuber's mind? You know what I mean? Like, how did they get to that? And that's what I want to kind of explore with you, Ahmed. Like, how did that happen?
What do you need in an everyday car?
Space.
Right? Like, and as like a car you could give to anybody and it'll be functional for them. Right? At any given point. I mean, that's what a SUV's purpose is, but then, you know, this is also like a driver's car. So then you still get your handling, lower center of gravity, just a complete monster.
Is there any car? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was gonna say, sorry, random question. Is there any car that sells you on this point other than this car? I can't think of anything.
There is. They don't do it the same way though. Like, they're selling you on the wagon life, but they're not doing it the same way.
So like
go ahead.
I was gonna say, if I was to take a guess, I'd probably say Subaru, like the hatchback, like the WRX STI or something.
No, so I wouldn't put them in the same category. This is the only other car that's in that category.
Okay.
And that's the Mercedes AMG E63 wagon. So this in itself is also a monstrosity. Well, this, and actually there is one more. And that, I believe, is the Porsche Panamera.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is, this thing. Which technically is not a station wagon because you don't have that little big hump in the back. This is a 4-door coupe, or whatever you want to call it. But technically, for it to be a coupe, it can have the B pillars in the middle. And the mirrors, the windows can't have top parts for it to be a coupe. It has to be like just glass. I believe that was like a definition. But again, this is the competition, right? You got Panamera that kind of looks like it, but the real and only competition is your E63 wagon, which is also like 600 horsepower.
And it's also 140K.
Yes.
I did see a video that compares this car to the RS6 Avant, and they're pretty comparable.
But base price 107 and Avant was 109. It's literally the same price point.
Yeah. This car, I feel like, does it have the same type of history, like that nostalgia, that withdrawal from the market, introduced into a new market? I didn't look into this one.
I don't think so, to be honest. But then again, I'm not into. I mean, this isn't my end all be all car, so and to be honest, for the longest time, I have not liked interiors on Mercedes. I'm not a big fan of those tack-on looking
iPad
consoles.
Yeah.
But Mercedes has looked really bad for a while.
Yeah. Mazda does those too, man. I don't like them.
Yeah, Mazda does too. I love Mazda, but yeah.
Can you get the E63 in America?
I believe so, yes. Doug DeMuro also bought one of these.
Oh, nice.
But he bought an older one. Yes. By the way, he actually has a video that he compares the RS2 to the RS6 Avant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. His videos are just too long.
Yeah, his videos are long.
He makes like 20-minute videos on like a doorknob. And then he just talks about it.
Yeah.
I did also want to talk about a little bit on the difference between brand marketing and direct marketing. And so what I would say this ad is 100% brand marketing, right? You're not even
Mhm.
talking about the sale at all, right? And I think
Yeah.
traditionally you see in advertising, like big car companies, they have needed to actually use a lot of brand marketing. So you think about Ford, you know, GM, how they sell their cars in the past has always been through their ads, you know, built Ford tough, whatever it may be. Um, Nowadays, you see a lot of businesses that are coming up through just Facebook ads. Like they have a
Mhm.
direct a call to action and they make the sale immediately. Now, I want to pick your brains on this and really get your opinion on the future for car makers. Because I think right now, definitely, I think cars, when you're spending $100,000, I think you need to have a really strong brand there. But how do you guys
Mhm.
think in the future, you think car manufacturers are going to be going more towards Facebook ads, buy now type thing, or are they going to continue to just double down on story and brand? Let's start with Ahmed Nadeem. What do you think?
I think they already are. I think they already know every Facebook, Instagram, like you did on you know, on a Porsche ad, or a, you know, they already have all these analytics, right? Like pretty much that's the reason Facebook has the money, is because they can target their ads so specifically to the point where they can be like, oh, this person's actually in an Avant group, or this person's, you know, has a picture. Like they can reckon this, you know, picture recognition. There's so much stuff that happens on Facebook just so ads can be given to that specific person that's gonna be the ad is used for, right? In marketing, one of the biggest thing is you can spend all the money in marketing and you can find out that, hey, it's not doing anything, or you're spending so much money where even little bit of marketing will go viral. And right, like where I forgot who told me, where they were like Uber was spending $100 million on marketing, and when they stopped they realized nothing happened, like there was no difference. I believe Nuri told me this, right? Well, it wasn't so again, it's I want to go back to your point where you said, brand marketing versus direct marketing, you said, right?
Yeah, that's what I called it.
So here's brand marketing. Brand marketing for me, the way I see it, is someone who's not even gonna care what the price is. They're just gonna be like, when this car comes out, I'm gonna buy it. Right? Direct marketing is someone who are like, you're like, oh, this is the gas mileage, this is gonna be great for you. This is all those things. Like I knew a guy who was like, if you asked him what his next favorite, I should play basketball with him. He's a doctor in Chicago, I believe. I was like, what's your favorite car? And he's like, whatever the next M3 comes out.
He's got loyalty before.
Simple
like that.
loyalty. He owned an M3. He was
Uh-huh.
always going to own an M3. That was it. Right? Like I currently own an Acura TL Type S. Right? I'm a super nerd about this car, right? Like I change all the part. Like I could tell you inside out about this car because it's one of those cars I'm just gonna own, right?
Mhm.
And again, they're right now marketing the new Type S, right? But it's not a TL, it's a TSX. I had told one of my friends, I was like, if they come out with the TL Type S, I'm gonna trade this one. I'm just gonna buy the new one, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Right? Brand marketing. Right. I mean, I have my reasons because this is like the only manual you could find. They stopped making manuals after this year. It was the best TL that they made, and also like I think there's like 4 on sale in the country. Like you can't find these cars anymore, right? So it's the exclusivity, it's the brand marketing, but then again, they also have to deliver. That's a big piece on this, right? Like you making promises is great, but if the end doesn't look like the RS6 Avant, you know.
I just liked I liked a Facebook page for Panameras, and I joined a group. I'm gonna see if I can get Panamera advertisements onto my Facebook feed.
No, I think
Yeah, that'll happen.
So the question I have is, if I am, let's bring it back to the audience, right? If I'm, let's say I own a cookie shop and I have these options, I have, let's say, $10,000 and I need to spend it trying to sell my product, right?
Mhm.
What's the best way, like not today, but for the next 10 years, how do I spend that money to really grow my business and really grow that loyalty? And so when I talk about brand marketing versus direct marketing would be like Facebook, hey, this person likes cookies. He's going to get an ad. I got a sale right now. Now, brand
So
marketing would be an ad like this, where we talk about how rich history this cookie
yeah,
is, and like whatever it may be, but like you really just get the audience involved in story. And I want to get your thoughts on like what how people should be thinking about these,
yeah.
right? Like, go ahead.
So in with the example of the Audi, they came out with an advertisement. They didn't do direct marketing, right? Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think part of it is if whatever your product is has a legacy, has a history, you go brand. And the elements that allow you to go direct or that you should consider when you're going direct is, are you in like a saturated market, or are you a completely new product, right? So for example, if there was a new electric car that wanted to compete with Tesla, you might want to think about direct. If Tesla wanted to bring out a new car, they'd probably go with their brand. You see what I'm saying? Audi has established this brand, so you go with brand, which is why they went with the commercial. Whereas, like, I don't know, what is that new electric car that you follow? The Litmus or something.
Rivian.
Rivian, right? What are they doing? I don't think they're doing direct marketing. Or sorry, I don't think they're doing brand marketing. They're probably doing direct marketing.
No, I would say they're
Yeah.
doing brand.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
because they're really trying to build that community. They have ads about like, hey, this is us going on a trip, like that kind of thing. So
Hmm.
I'm not on Facebook. I don't know if they have that kind of advertisements. Like I'm not.
So, but brand marketing can be different too, though, right? Like to me, brand marketing, like if I was at cookie shop, I would put that $10,000 or whatever that money is over the next 10 years that you're talking about. I would just like just start like something to keep the connection going, right? And brand is something you're thinking about long term that you want to just keep build connects. Like even like a simple, like a simple, like if a kid gets a good grade, if they bring their report card in and you give them a free cookie,
Mm.
right? You
That's
are
free.
creating a free
Free
cookie,
advice.
but that's where that's where his money is going. But if you give him a free cookie, you're already creating an association till he grows up. That's gonna be the spot, right? Like if you had to get cookies or if you have to get anything, or if your kids later have to get cookies or whatever, like that would be like I have places that I go to today that people who were nice to me back then, or like one person who was like I was short money or something. That person's like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. We got you. Come here. That just right there, that was the connection I needed. Like there's a certain amount that you can ask for as a person. Outside of that, like it's all, like open season, right? So
Mhm.
the way I see it is that little connection, that little thing can be your brand marketing, right? That little cookie is going to create your association between other cookie shops and your cookie shop.
Okay, that's powerful what you just said there. So I think let's unpack it a little bit. So the definition we always give on this podcast of branding is what, Abdul Mannan?
Reputation
Yeah, it's reputation, or it's the
with the
uh,
audience,
the gut feeling
the gut
that
feeling.
each individual
Mhm.
person has of your brand, right? So
Yeah,
my gut feeling for Audi is going to be different than Ahmed Nadeem's versus someone else, right? And so
of course.
what Ahmed Nadeem is saying is thinking about how you can make little connections with people that will increase that gut feeling in the positive for your brand. And what my understanding of what, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I'm getting is you don't need money to do that.
Yeah.
Just think
Yeah.
about how you can really make that connection.
And then brand is also very heavily dependent on people talking about it, right? Like if I get a cookie as a little kid, you bet I'm gonna go to school and I'm gonna talk about it, right? Like it's a little thing. It's a very little thing, but like do you still remember the cookies at Salem High School?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
right? Like it doesn't matter. Like I could still smell them. like you know what I mean? But like that's the point. That association is so strong. By the way, it's also the association of smell too.
Yeah.
But the fact is the association is so strong that like if I could today go buy cookies from that place, I would. Yeah, same, right? Like that's the point. You make that you just got to make the association of your brand with the person somehow, right? Like you could spend 10 grand or you could give a free cookie away. That's up to you, but like, you know, that's the association.
That's a really good point. So I think the key takeaway here for me, if I'm running a cookie shop, is look, if you have $10,000, you don't need $10,000 to actually create that connection, right? So think about how you can actually create that connection. Think about it by understanding who the people are you're trying to connect with. So if it's a kid that you want to connect with, how can you give him an experience that he's going to want to share, he or she's going to want to share, right? And so that's the really mode of thinking we have to get into if we want to start building brands. So Ahmed Nadeem, really appreciate you shedding light on that. Abdul Mannan,
Did say brand, probably lean towards brand.
Oh yeah, I would
to answer your question. Yeah. Okay.
So I'll ask you guys a question real quick. So do you think what's the right balance of direct or brand marketing? Like how much should a place focus on either or maybe in the beginning you need to focus on one, and when you're bigger you need to focus on the other, vice versa?
Abdul Mannan, you want to take this first?
I want to say that you can't do direct without brand. That's for sure. So if you have no brand equity at all, like you're starting and you don't have a good visual identity, you don't have a culture or a value system, you can do all the direct marketing you want. I don't think it's going to convert to like people actually, becoming loyal or purchasing product or service. But if you do have a brand established, then you can decide what you need to work on, whether that's direct or brand.
So I want to break that down a little bit. So let's go back to the cookie example, since we're on cookies, right? I'm a cookie shop. I just opened up. Mm-hmm. So you're saying that
I'm there, Cheema. I'm there. you don't need to. But sorry, guys.
You're saying if I have a shop that it doesn't smell good, that is like you're essentially saying
if it's called cookie shop. But, I mean, you could build a brand around that, but I'm saying like, if it's like some arbitrary cookie shop,
Right. So you're saying that in order to maximize your direct marketing spend, when they get to your door, whether that be an online website or that be a physical presence, you have to actually back up what you're saying. And that is your brand.
Yeah. Because we know, I'm sure we both have experiences, or all three of us have experiences where we are interested in a product, but then you go to their landing page, you go to their website, you go to their people reviews, and there's nothing there, or they don't provide you with any sort of lead, and then you just drop it. You stop thinking about it, and then it might even show up on your radar again, but you're like, I don't care for this enough anymore. So I think that equity is super important. Or else the direct won't help.
That's a really good point. I think another thing to touch on that is that you see, it's like anyone can drop ship anything nowadays. So there's a lot of noise, right? And so if you don't have that presence where people actually go to your site and they trust who you are, and you feel like, all right, this is actually like a legit business, like people aren't going to buy it. You could spend $1 million, maybe you'll get a sale, but like it's not going to be profitable for you.
Yeah.
Uber.
Uber.
Oh.
Okay.
That's funny. I'd never heard that story. That's
Nuri told me in a meeting. I was like, interesting. I'm gonna Google it just to fact check myself real quick.
Yeah, we say it like a fact, and then it turns out we lost all our credibility because we.
I'm trying to think of an example that came to mind. That they didn't have that.
It's real, guys. Uber wasted $100 million on useless digital ad campaigns.
It's like a Forbes article or something.
That's TechCo.
Okay.
Input mag. Toyota. But there's a bunch of them, so I mean,
That's funny.
yeah.
Yeah, Abdul Mannan, you were saying something?
I was trying to think of an example. An example that recently I came across that just didn't have that, like, that pull once you got to it. But I can't remember. If I think of it, I'll let you guys know. But
I mean,
Yeah, I
on a
think-
website basis, it's like we give a website about 2 to 3 seconds before we're like, okay, we're moving forward or not. Right, from development standpoint too, like we know, like there's even things when you're actually creating a website, you're like, okay, I need to have the reason all the logos are in top left is because there's a Z shape your eye follows when you actually go to a website, and they need to keep you in that, right? So your main information, secondary, third, fourth.
yeah,
And the speed you do that is how much you're judging this whole site in, and if you're going to be on there. Pretty much in 3 seconds, you decide if you're going to stay somewhere or not.
yeah.
So I think the key takeaway here is that if you want to get people to your website, direct marketing is the way to go. If you want to actually close the sale, you have to have brand to back it up.
Yeah.
But I feel like you need to show honesty too. Like,
Isn't that part of brand?
it is, but people know when you're playing them. Like now, I feel like it's different. Like you're like it's not a blind trust anymore. I feel, right? Like yeah, you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna buy this car no matter what. But if the car was messed up, it won't. It's not gonna be like back in the day. I feel like where they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'll just deal with it because the car's having issues, right? Because it's the part of the car or whatever, right? Like I don't like if you're buying 120,000 Avant, right? And let's say some lights not working or whatever, you're gonna be like, what the heck?
I didn't pay for this.
yeah, right. Like,
Yeah, I think we had a lot of good takeaways from this episode. I went in some directions that I didn't foresee, but I think it was good. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we kind of close? Ahmed Nadeem, did you had any points that you wanted to make sure or anything to share about the RS6?
Not RS6. I'm more interested in you guys. What's your guys' like NWL car? Like if those,
Now, I'm an M3 guy.
M3.
I've never had a BMW, but
Yeah.
since I was a kid, I really liked the M series.
Oof.
Yeah.
Then before we end, can we talk about the new M? Do you see the new M4 face?
I've seen that. I don't know if it's M4, but I've seen the new grill. I don't like it.
2021.
Can you pull it up on your
2021
screen?
M4. Yeah, I'm about to.
It's giving me Alfa Romeo vibes.
Yeah.
Looks like
Yeah,
Alien.
I don't know what they did here.
Alien versus Predator. That's scary.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason I was always so attracted to it is because they had that signature, like the BMW grill. And this is, I think that's a step away from that.
Yeah, because the M5. So this is the new M5, which thank God they didn't like mess up the grill.
Yeah.
Right. This is like my other favorite car is the M5 competition package. Just murderous looking car.
Yeah.
But again, it's
I don't like what they did with the taillights, but
yeah, that's true. But I mean, you can forgive the taillights. You can't forgive that grill right off the bat.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, 100%.
Yeah, that's 100% of the personality.
Yeah. Those taillights look like Honda Accord taillights.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
They remind me of the Lexus IS taillights.
Yeah, in that picture for sure. Yeah. I feel like the picture would look. Oh yeah, the M4. For me, it would be the Honda Type R, but I hate the direction they're going with the new one. The Type R.
Yeah. I saw the new Honda. I saw the new Honda.
I think the one that if I was to buy one, it would probably be the one that won the record for the Nürburgring, inline 4-cylinder, top speed, top time on the Nürburgring German ring.
You did your research on this. I didn't know you were into cars like that.
No, the Type 4 I am, because the Type R. Yeah, this is the new one. It's so ugly.
This is the new face of what the Civics are going to look like for the next.
Civics I get, but why you got to do that with the Type R?
Yeah, well, they got to follow the line, right? Like the design
Yeah.
language.
Show Cheema put in 2020 Type R
2020 Type
or
R?
maybe 2019. I think, I don't know.
Civic Type R.
This thing, oh my god.
I love this color.
Yeah, I love the champion white. I like the new gold that they have.
Yeah, dude, that is not a sleeper. That looks
This-
fast.
Yeah.
The old version of it was.
Yeah, this looks like it eats children.
Yeah, the champion white for sure. Oh man.
Yeah, that's a beautiful car, but it's insane.
Yeah. And the other thing I like about it is like a totally affordable price. It's like $38K if you can find it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So
They mean
this is
limited amounts.
so this is the range of the STIs and the well, they don't make the Evo
Mhm.
anymore, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evo, STI, Volvos.
well, so now I think they have that. Well, there's a bunch of these electric cars coming in the mix. It's throwing everything off.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
but yeah, it's an interesting price point.
Yeah.
All right, Abdul Mannan, do you have anything else?
I don't. No, yeah. I think
All
that.
right, so Ahmed Nadeem, thank you so much for coming on again, gracing us with your presence and your insight
You're too kind.
on design and branding. So really appreciate you coming out. Last question that I had for you is, what would you like to see the Audi team do with this car in the future?
Personally, make it about $80,000 cheaper. But if they can't do that, I feel like I would like it if they went back a little to the sleeper style. Like I'm okay with you making it look like a normal station wagon if it still has everything else.
Now, do you think people would be as excited about it if it was as sleeperish as it was when the RS2 originally came out?
I think that's a person-to-person decision. Personally, I feel like if you're a true RS6 Avant person, you want to stick to the heritage, as you want to call it, or whatever the ad was selling us, because I bought it. So I drank that Kool-Aid, man.
So less sleeper or more sleeper? You said more sleeper?
I would like it to be like, less like, it's gonna murder somebody, and more nicer.
Yeah, I think they did that. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think they did that with the sound. I heard that the sound is not the same. It's dampened out, especially on the interior where they tried to muffle it a little bit. More family oriented, I guess.
Family oriented. You want the kid to sleep in the back.
Exactly.
Right? Like, just turn down a little bit.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. Family friendly.
That's awesome.
Yep.
All right, guys.
For sure.
Thanks again. Thank you so much.
That was a lot of fun. I always love talking cars with Ahmed Nadeem. He always gets me really excited. If you're still listening right now, I want to hear what your dream car is. If money was no object and you had one pick for a car, what car would you pick and why? To share your answer with us, you can go to the YouTube version of this podcast and comment, or I'll drop my email in the show notes and you can write me an email. Now, as always, I have some key takeaways from this episode, but before we get into that, I want to share a little clip from our last episode we had with Ahmed Nadeem on the Hummer EV.
I feel like it's just traction and the fact that most of these discontinued cars were on posters. Like, I remember going to the auto show and bringing back a Hummer poster, and it was on my wall.
Yeah.
Right? Now imagine I have grown up and I got money now, right? Well, relatively, not Hummer money still, right?
It's a big baller now.
Not even close, right?
Yeah.
I can maybe afford like 3 tires or something. But my point is, there are people who are smarter than me and made more money than me, but the age group that were looking at these Supras and the Hummers and the things can now afford the Supras and the Hummers and the cars that are coming out, right?
Yeah.
Like, so the revival not only brings you back a brand you thought about and liked, it also is bringing it back to the people who are going to be able to afford these.
If you enjoyed this episode, I really think you'll enjoy that episode. Go check it out wherever you listen to this podcast. You can also find that one. Now, here are my key takeaways. Number one, the story that you need to care about as a brand is the story that your customers are telling each other and others. In this example, every time I watched a video reviewing the Audi RS6 Avant, the person reviewing always started with, "This is the best everyday driver ever." That is the story that the customers are telling one another. And number two, branding is about creating positive connections in your customers' minds. If you're a small business owner, get creative. Think about how you can create positive connections with your customers without spending any money. Now, before I close, I want to give a shout out to all of you that are listening. It means the world to us that you took time out of your day to listen to us. We hope we provided some value. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Thank you for showing up for us. We'll see you next time.